Hi and welcome to the Motorepair how-to video on installing a dash cam. So today I'm going to run you through how we here at Motorepair put in a dash cam for our customers. We have two options. We've got a camera that is mounted over the rear view mirror, and we've also got a dash cam that is independent of everything, where you can stick it to the dashboard or the windscreen. You can put it where you want. So I'm going to run you through all the components that you're going to need to do this installation. I'm going to pick up the Hero Cam now, so I'll just run you through all the components. Okay, so you're going to need the camera. So you've got this item just here. That's the camera with the windscreen mount. It comes with the well, what we're going to be using, which is the cigarette lighter. You've got the USB lead. You've got the rear view camera, and also you've got the fixing points for that. In with the kit, you've also got the memory stick. Now, you're going to need a few extra components that's not in the kit. You're going to need one of these piggyback fuse holders, so you're going to be running through with you that later on. You're also going to need an adapter. This is a female part, because we're going to be hardwiring this straight into your vehicle's electrical system, so that you don't use up the cigarette lighter. Also, you're going to need various tools, the trim piece removal kit, and also other items to remove bits of trim from the vehicle. I'll run you through that later. Also, you're going to have to be a little bit handy with a soldering iron and shrink wrap. And then we're going to hotwire it straight into the fuse box, which is located on this particular vehicle here. Obviously each car is different, so you're going to have to figure out where exactly you want it. What we might do is actually locate it just below behind the rear view mirror, because that way we can run the wire for the rear view camera around the headlining all the way around, and the rear camera is going to go just where the back parcel shelf, you can just see just there. It's best in the middle, because then it gets covered with the rear wash wipe, because if you're going to have the camera inside the vehicle, obviously any water that's left on the windows or any dirt is going to affect the view on the camera. Okay, so we've mocked up the dash cam now, and you can see I've decided to mount it just below the rear view mirror. The reason for that, it wasn't too obtrusive. You can see it, but it's not in your vision too much. It's quite a small picture, and you see it's set up so you've got picture within picture. So you've got the rear view picture, that's the one to the upper right, and then you've got the little Renault Twingo that's in front of us. You can see that. What I'm going to do is mount this wire. They're going to go up the top here. It's going to go along the trim, down and round and into the power, which we're going to take off one of these, which I'll run through with you in a short while. And in the meantime, what's going to happen is this wire here, which is the rear view camera, that's going to be run all the way around, and at the moment I've just stuck it in the trim at the back, just to make sure that the cable is long enough to go all the way around the vehicle. Obviously we're lucky here, it's a nice small vehicle, it's 4-door, good access, it's a good one to train on. Okay, so what I've done now is I've gone on to the internet, it's a wonderful thing, and I've located through auto data where all the fuses are. And if you look at the list here, you've got a little diagram, shows you where the fuel box is, and you can see here it kind of represents the numbers there. So what I've decided to do, I've gone for F16, which is the windscreen wash wipe system, because you can hear at the moment, if I take the ignition out and I test it, you'll see there should be no power to it, which is what you want. So when the key's out of the ignition, there's nothing. Okay, and then when I put the ignition on, which is going to power the camera, you want the light to come on. So we'll just test it again. and there we go, we've got power. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to piggyback into that one there. Alright, so we've relocated inside. It's freezing outside, so we've just come back in, and I've laid out the components here that we're going to connect together. Now here's our piggyback, and what I've done is I found a 10 amp fuse, which is what we're going to be using, and there's our original 5 amp fuse. I have changed the location, and when I plug it in you'll see why. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this connector off here and put it in, and cut this crocodile clip off, which came with the female socket, and I'm going to splice them together and solder them because it's just more robust. Some of you might be thinking, well, why don't we just connect it straight in and wire it straight in? But that's all very well, and you can do it that way. I'm not saying it's wrong, but when you come to sell the vehicle, or you want to move the camera from one car to the other, you can just leave this section behind, simply disconnect it, and you can plug it straight into another vehicle. So it just makes it a bit easier. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we've done our soldering connection just here. All we're going to do now is just put the heat shrink on. Easier said than done, because I've probably chosen the wrong heat shrink size. But anyway, I like a nice fit. So it's just about in the middle, and then it's just a case of shrinking that on there. Don't get too carried away. It's good if you can't smell this, because it's pretty evil stuff. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so what we're going to do now is disconnect that and then put that connector onto there like that. Okay, so cut off the crocodile clips, got 2 spare crocodile clips, just going to connect that into there. Make sure you're not too far away. It's the blue one, so we're going to go to the blue section. And we're going to squash that to there. Okay, so we've got a good connection now. That's good and strong. Now, just because of the kind of guy I am, I'm going to put, for extra security, just a little bit of solder on there, just so it can't be pulled out. You don't have to do that, but that's just me. There you go, so that's nice and secure. Okay, so now I've connected in this earth onto a piece of the trim that's got a connector, and what I'm doing, I'm just going to leave that loose for now until I can work out exactly where that is going to go. As you can see, we're lucky, we've got quite a good void here, so all this will be tucked down out the way, and you won't see it. When the trim's back in, you won't even know it's there. And that's what we want at the end. We just want a factory finish. That's what we're up against. I'll just remove that out of the way. So you can see why I've now gone for this connector, because there just wasn't enough room after I'd piggybacked on for that to go into there. It was just coming up against that bit of trim. So what I've done, I've gone in for that one as well. So it'll be nice and flush. And I can tuck all this back out the way, round the corner and into there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, I'm going to pull all the trim off so I can get all the wires in, and it's all ready to come all the way down to here. Okay, so I've looked in here because what I've done is I've just been able to just make enough gap between the headlinings. You can see that it's got quite a bit of movement, it's quite soft. So I've managed to squeeze it in all the way down there. I've only removed one clip on this, and I'm going to leave it open for now because I'm going to be running the rear view camera all the way down here and then down this seam here. So I've managed to put it in all the way down between the trim. This is why these are really handy. It's all the way down there and it's come out the bottom there. And what I've done is now I've got our 2 ends, I can connect them in. What I'll do, I'll put a little bit of electrical tape around that, because the last thing you want to do is that come free while you're driving along. I can now connect that in there because I know where I'm going to go. It's going to go that way. So I'm happy with that. Oh, got the right one. Would help. And that's our earth connection there. So what I need to do is just get some electrical tape around that, poke it all down the back there, and then what we'll do, we'll test the system first before we put any trim back, just in case a bad thing happens. You don't want to be taking the trim down again, because that's the most time consuming bit, to be honest, taking the trim down, that and doing the bit that I've just shown you previously. Okay, so yesterday my battery went on the GoPro. It's typical. So just a few things I wanted to point out to make life a little bit easier. You're going to have extra cable left over, no doubt, because this is a small car. We've only had a small run from over here around the headlining, which I've got to make a little bit tidier. So what I've done, I've chosen this void here because this is the largest one, so there's a lot of space back there just to get your cables in. So what I'm going to do is just tuck these cables in. It's very easy. You know, I guess what you could do if you wanted to make it a little bit better is put them all together and put some tape around it, but then of course you've got to make this gap so much bigger to get your cables in. So it's up to you. Each situation is going to be different. In the back here, all you've got is the roller for the seat belt. A lot of space. Don't worry about this this wire here. That's in case you want to use your camera as a reversing camera, and it only comes on when you go into reverse, so you can hook that up into your reversing light and it will then only record when you're reversing. But if it's recording all the time, why do you need that? Anyway, so that's the installation. So we've got the camera now running all the way through there. I'll just tidy that up a little bit more, close up these gaps. I've just used, you can use a self-tapping screw, but I've just took it on with the 3M pad that comes with it. You can manipulate this, it's on like a little bendy arm here, so you can adjust the angle slightly. You may want to put it over in the corner if you use your car for loading large objects all the time. You know, you're going down to the tip or whatnot. You can put it in the corner so it's more out the way. And then, as you can see now from the front, there is no wires. You're not using any of the cigarette lighter sockets, so you can still use your other items like your mobile phone. You can still charge it in that. I'll just come through to the front. So now it's just a case of starting it up and checking the system. And there you go, it's going to switch on. So we've got the rear camera there, you can see. You can change it in the settings so it just shows you the forward, but at least that tells you that it's working. And then you've got a forward camera. You can see why we've chosen this one on this particular car, because there are this type here, which I'll show you, that goes right over the mirror. I prefer this one, but you need quite a big car to get away with that. If you can imagine that in this little Polo, it's just going to obscure your vision. So for this application, these small ones are better. You can also put it up there out the way if you know you've got the flexibility of this one to put it wherever you want. We've just stuck it there for now, but I might put it up there. The only way of doing this one is by actually moving the screen, whereas this type, this is on a roller ball, so you can put it anywhere, so it's quite handy. So that's that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's as simple as that. Alternatively, of course, you could come down to us and we can all install it for you. Thanks for watching.